This is SWBC Mortgage's Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. The National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org. Buffalo Wild Wings. If it's game day, Buffalo Wild Wings is the place to be. Alltech Lansing. Just listen with Alltech Lansing. Perfecting sound since 1927. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now your hosts, Nate Newton and Bobby Belt.
Yes.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Cowboys Crosstalk. We are live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. I'm Bobby Belt from 105 Through the Fan. Tonight I'm joined by my 105 Through the Fan teammate, Jake Riepma.
Jake is from Detroit, y'all.
What's happening?
He's an ex-line, y'all. Yeah.
Hey, still getting used to the traffic on the tollway. My goodness, that's a little different.
Was it bad?
If 20 miles per hour is normal, then that's where we're at.
Man, you're a Motor City guy, though. You're a Motor City guy.
Yeah, but we don't have traffic like that.
I mean, I forgot all the cars get transported out. Okay.
All right, that is the three-time Super Bowl champ and six-time Pro Bowler, Nate Newton, coming in strong already with import-export thoughts. Yeah. Maybe we'll get your thoughts on tariffs later, Nate. I don't know. And joining us tonight, our special guest, the pride of Albany State, a two-time Super Bowl champion, former Cowboys defensive back, Kenny the Shark Gant. Kenny, thank you so much for joining us. Man. And, I got to lead off. First thing I need to know, because I always wonder this, especially from defensive players who were in practice and saw the other side of the field. What's like your best Nate Newton story from your time here in Dallas?
Besides running around butt naked in the locker room. And I'm going to tell you a story about him.
Oh, please do. Yeah, it's only fair. It's only fair.
I think one of my best stories with Nate, see, Jimmy Johnson, nobody was cool with Jimmy Johnson, so they say. They said I was one of the guys, but I didn't believe it.
Right.
We know Michael Irvin was one.
Yeah.
And so in training camp, everybody always looked at Nate and say, throw us a bone. But he was the only one brave enough to do it. We were scared to do it.
Yeah, I'll be like, Coach, everybody tired, man. We've been practicing too long. But I'm going to tell you a story. His wife may not like this.
That's how you know it's going to be a good story.
One day we was in the locker room, right? We had been through a hard practice. We was trying to get on the run in the game. And one day we had this dude named Al, who worked there. He picked up all the things. And he used to push this like a Winn-Dixie buggy. Like the iron buggies they have in the stores and stuff. And all of a sudden, from behind the little I can't think what it was. It was some curtains.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We had these curtains separated.
Oh, careful. Curtains are a hot topic right now.
Yeah, okay, I understand. But these are different.
They were using them back then.
So Al throw open these curtains, and here go Kenny Gant, butt naked in that thing, saluting to them. He was butt naked saluting like he was at the front of a ship. I was like, oh, my God, this shark is coming through. Oh, I'll never forget that, man. You remember that? Yeah. That was so funny, man.
Yeah, he clearly remembered it because he did the exact same pose you were doing just now, talking about it. Kenny, let's talk about your trajectory here to Dallas, because I always wonder how guys feel with this description, which is the underdog story. Because you were a guy who changed positions. You were an offensive player in high school initially, switched over to defensive back. You go to Albany State, have a good career there at that HBCU. Then you're in a 9th-round pick. I mean, in today's NFL, that you're undrafted free agent.
Absolutely.
And somebody who made an impact with energy and effort and special teams, and then was willing to, I can step in, I can play corner, I can play safety, I can do all of those things. Is that description for you, the underdog story? Is that a badge of honor? Is that something you like as a description, or do you look at that and say, like, I don't know how much of an underdog I was. I was a pretty damn good football player.
I'd say I was a pretty good football player because, coming from Albany State, you just playing against different people. One of my pet peeves in the Albany State was, of course, that's how I got discovered, really. Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
So we played against each other twice, and they wanted to know who was that guy. And so I had no doubt that I could play. I just wanted somebody to give me a chance, and that's all I needed. If I got a chance to be at practice, I knew I was going to make the team.
Do you remember a time early on where you had one of those moments where you said, all right, here was my chance, and here's where I showed them this is why I belong, and you made an impression on that side of the ball?
Yeah. Doctors ask me that every day, every time I go to the doctor. So we went to my rookie year. We went to San Diego. We had to, we stayed up there for about a week, and I remember going down on the kickoff team, and they said, "This the game. You got to show yourself strong." And I ran down the kickoff team, and I remember the wedge. They used to have the wedge. Yeah. And so that's all I could tell you.
Ran down there, made the play.
Nope. I remember I was on the plane. I don't know what happened. I hit the wedge, and I had but that's what they told me I had to do to make the team. I had to do something spectacular.
But that had to be like an element of proving yourself.
Oh, yeah, it was an element of proving myself. But and it showed me that I could play with the guys that went to the D1s and all that. I just had some bad grades.
I got kind of a similar question though. Did you ever feel like you had to have a chip on your shoulder? Because I'm talking to you now, you're like the nicest guy, and I mean I know you got a mean streak in you. Every good player does.
I had a mean streak when I let everybody else start it, and then because I'm the most antagonizing guy that you ever want to meet.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't ever start it. I get people before the game talking about, "Oh, you ain't gonna do that shark crap today." And I'm almost, coach almost had to reel me back in because I got to go get this guy.
Right.
And I had the same problem down in Tampa too. Coaches, they saw something different, and the difference between Dallas and Tampa, we didn't practice like we practice in Dallas.
Right.
And we went to Tampa, we was hitting people, butting them up, and they was like, "Hey, you don't do that here." I'm like, "That's why we losing here."
I remember Michael Irvin always talking about when he first got here, he looked at what the culture was.
Yeah.
And when Jimmy got here, it's like, I'm so glad Jimmy's here because I've already got a list for him. This guy's nothing. Yeah. This guy's nothing. He's not about it. He's not about it. Nate, you've talked about this before, the idea of, there needs to be more player accountability within this football team right now that you see. And you talk about the tough practice and stuff. You standing out here and looking at these practices and the rules that exist today, how attainable is it to replicate what you guys did back in the day with some of the restrictions that are out there?
No, I believe this. Philadelphia, Detroit, 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs. It's teams out there that are physical.
Yes.
It's a mindset. Now you have to find that guy that's willing to challenge his teammates. Yeah. A lot of guys won't challenge their teammates. Kenny Gant, a lot of people don't understand this. Kenny Gant, we had to actually start. People say that special teams are 1/3 of the game. Thanks to Kenny Gant, it became 1/3 of our game because we started watching film of the kickoff and of the punt team when he got on it, because he would make play after play after play, and see that when and it made a lot of people in the league start keeping players just as special team players.
Absolutely.
And so that is something he brought. And then we didn't know that he could be a cover corner, especially in the slot.
Yep.
That was something extra that he brought to the table that is solidified who he was. So I tell people like this, we didn't make him tough.
Nope.
We didn't come in and beat him up or anything. He came in with a mindset that every day I'm going to prove myself.
Yep.
And when you are looking for that kid, whether he's the first-round pick or whether he's the last player to sign a contract, you better do enough background check do he really love this game?
Yes.
It ain't hard to find out.
That's a good point, I think, because I think that when you talk about love of the game, we hear from fans sometimes who I think it's been a criticism before. I remember specific player who comes to mind for me is Jerry Tillery was coming out of Notre Dame a few years ago, and there was a line of just people saying, how much does he love football? That was a big line about David Irving when he was here for a long time. How much does David Irving love football? And a lot of fans, I think, kind of like to downplay and say, if you can play, you can play. And if you're talented, let's not worry about love of the game or how much they're, obsessed with it. That should be secondary. But it sounds like for you, Nate, and for you as well, Kenny, and I'll let you weigh in on this, it sounds to me like you think that love of the game is when everybody's good and those margins are so thin, having that extra work ethic and that love is a separator.
It's to separate the men from the boys, so you say. It's been some tough practices that you want to go the extra mile. You want to do something extra, and you want to get in the weight room. You want to do something because Jimmy Johnson set a culture that produced winners, and the only thing separated Jimmy Johnson from my dad was 6'2" and black, and Jimmy was 5'5" and white. But I was scared of him just the same.
I was mentioning, I asked you before, I said, you want me to set you up as Kenny or Kenneth? And you said Kenny. Usually Kenneth was I was in trouble with that. So did you get similarly when Jimmy was mad? Would he say Kenneth?
I can't say on the air what Jimmy
the thing is, I'm fully convinced that you don't have to beat yourself up in practice because the 49ers, when they eventually we came back and earned our right to whoop the 49ers, and they went and got a kid from Florida State called Barnum. I can't think of Barnum's name. Fullback.
Oh.
And William Floyd. He helped change their culture.
Yeah.
You just need one or two guys that refuse to let you lose, refuse to let you be less than what you are, and willing to take it as far as you want to take it. Right now, these guys don't know who they are and what they can be, because we still had 20 to 25 players left over from the Landry transition.
Yes.
So what happened to those 25 players? You either got into the culture and the belief of what they were saying, or you got released.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so these guys need one or two more guys that's going to hold them accountable, not cuss them out in front of the media, not belittle them, but when they in practice or when they walking off that field, that's when the defense would lash into us. We thought we had the best offense in the world, but thanks to Charles Haley, Deion Sanders, Tony Tolbert, this guy, hey, man, we just got y'all the ball for the second time. Hey, you sorry, greasy, and they always blame it us. They never directed it at Troy. Troy just threw the interception, dog. I ain't had nothing to do with that. My man that did it, but we get cussed out.
You said something that stood out, though. It happens when nobody's watching.
Yes. You win the game in practice.
Yeah, that's what
preparation wins the game. That way you don't see two guys in the end zone in the same area. That's when you start out on your 20 and the quarterback like he's throwing it in the dirt because 8 guys in the same area.
It's crazy.
Let's take our first break, and when we come back, we're joined tonight by Kenny the Shark Gant. Let's talk about the origin of the Shark.
Yes.
And specifically, you guys mentioned overcoming San Francisco. I still remember, I think it was late in that game, the final minute when you finally got to break out the Shark and bust that out, and your trajectory here in Dallas and how you contributed and really found your way here with the Cowboys. We'll talk about that next on the SWBC Cowboys Crosstalk.
Go Cowboys!
Back to SWBC Mortgage's Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
At SWBC, customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. We are back here live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco for the SWBC Cowboys Crosstalk. Thank you for joining us on 105 through the Fan, DallasCowboys.com, and all of their associated social platforms. Tonight, I'm Bobby Belt from 105 through the Fan. I'm joined by my teammate at the Fan, Jake Riepma. We've got the 3-time Super Bowl champ, 6-time Pro Bowler, and it sounded like economist at the start of the show, Nate Newton, who's going to break that down for us further, I think, in the last segment.
I got the pen and pad ready to go.
I know. I'm ready. Look, I can't wait to hear about the automotive industry. And then joining us tonight, our special guest is Albany State's own Kenny the Shark Gant, the 2-time Super Bowl champion and former Cowboys defensive back. Kenny, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. So let's talk about what everybody is always remembers you for, associates you with, other than just the rabid special teams play, the Swiss Army knife in the secondary, which is the Shark and the Shark celebration. Talk to us about how that came about, the origin of that, and then after that, Nate, I want to hear from you. When you find those swagger points on a team, like how much that can help lift everybody up in terms of juice.
Well, that was something we did in practice, going with the scout team, trying to stop the offense we had. And we get a play which Michael Irvin will never say we stopped him in practice. So every time we stop him, we do the Sharks, all the DBs.
Yeah,
do the Shark.
all of them, yeah.
And so I guess I was the dumbest one to do it in the game, in the playoffs. We was going into the playoffs. I had no idea I did it. And I was in the locker room, and a reporter was asking me about it. He said, you was sticking your hand up. And I said, what, the shark fin came out? And, I thought that was the end of it.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, in the newspaper the next day, that's what he said. Kenny Gant roll into the playoffs and this new shark dance come out.
Yeah.
I believe it was, if I recall correctly, I believe it was game against Seattle you guys were playing in '92. It was a 27-0 blowout, but you went down on, I think it was punt coverage, made a big hit, and you jumped up and did it, and that was kind of the start of it. But that '92 season, you had 3 interceptions. When you would make big hits, you would, break out the dance, and it was featured prominently heading into that. It was kind of a wave in CBS's graphics package leading into the game. It goes Troy, then it goes Emmett, and then the next shot was Kenny Gant doing the Shark, and that had become a big part of y'all's personality. Nate, how much does that, when you find those points of, all right, swagger, like celebration that you guys can all, coalesce around, how much does that give you an energy boost when you see somebody able to break that out in a big moment in a game?
I'm telling you, when it first hit that Seattle game, and then when he started making play after play, special teams took a new level. I'm telling you, you would never see no one sitting down, especially kickoffs or early punts. No one would be sitting down. We wait for Kenny to make that play, and he rarely ever did not make that play. And so we lived on it, and we waited for him to make those plays because it boosted us a lot of times on the punt. When we punt to the team, great field position because of him. When we kick off to a team, great field position because of him. And we look for those moments.
Yeah, because a lot of times you talk about plays like that. I mean, that's the first play of the series, one way or the other. For, you think about it, maybe it's a long return, it's like a couple of first downs. But, I mean, it's so much in setting the tone.
Yes.
And in terms of special teams, I think you look at the dynamics of a game in today's NFL where a lot of that's being removed. And I'm curious your opinion, just knowing how big of an impact you had on the game in that era to where we are now. What goes through your mind when you see what a kickoff looks like in today's era?
I turn it to the college football. No, it's kind of weird to look at it and they just kick off and wait till somebody catch it and take off. But I don't know if I can be able to play that type of football. I don't know. They've been trained to do this. I guess I would have had to get used to it. But I don't think it's just weird watching it. And if you kick it so far, you can move it to the 25 and
to the 30.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Now I played a little D2 football and didn't quite go as far as you.
What a
And,
flex.
look out. But I will tell you this, running down on the kickoff, I mean, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it in sports. And I think, we don't have to get into what they need to do to get back to it. But there are ways to omit less parts of the special teams plays and keep it in the realm of the play compared to what they're doing now.
Well, you got to have a player that mind thinks above football because Nate was a starter. They said he was a starter. They said Michael Irvin was a starter. No, I was a starter because that's how I looked at life.
That's how important they were.
Because they didn't ever start. They didn't go out on kickoff on the first one.
So you started the game.
I started the
Truly
game.
started the game.
No, and you look at you talked about it, Nate. How when guys like Kenny came along, you're like, oh man, we're up now for even punt coverage and kick coverage. Like we're invested in this moment. And I think everybody knew 92, 93. You guys go on those Super Bowl runs, and everybody knows. Oh my gosh, you've got just the biggest offensive line in the NFL here that's dominating. You've got the best running back. You've got the lab-built prototype quarterback in Troy Aikman and all these different things. So, and then on the defensive side, number one defense in the NFL in 1992 when you guys won the Super Bowl and all those different aspects. How much did you guys find, man, it's just a demoralizing finishing blow when then you step out there and over the course of the 90s it's, well, here comes Bill Bates on kick coverage. Here comes, here comes Kenny Gant. Oh, here comes Jim Schwantz, who's making the Pro Bowl at it. Here comes Charlie Williams, who we talked to a couple weeks ago. Chris Boneyol's going to miss one field goal all year. Kelvin Martin, Kevin Williams, these guys are going to return kicks. How much does that third aspect of the game just deliver a morale-crushing blow when you're really good at it?
The thing about the NFC when we played, the NFC was a beast. And believe it or not, Coach Johnson believed in the field position game. And he knew with guys like Kenny and who we had a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Charlie Williams.
They knew that the punt was going to be nice and it was going to be minimal return. So if we get that ball on the 20, we get that ball on our 45, and we drive it down to right to the 50, and we still have to punt, we still gain 20 yards. So we got them backed up. Now our punter just hang it up in the air. Kenny go down there and down it on the 1. Charles Haley come up and strip sack. We get that ball on the 5. We scoring. Low left, low right. We scoring. Field position. Coach played that field position game. He would tell Troy, just don't throw an interception. Just don't throw an interception. We don't need a sack here because we had a good enough defense that we could beat you. We could beat you in a low-scoring game. We could beat you in a single-scoring game, or we can beat you in a double-scoring game, or we can shoot it out with you. So, but we played that field position game. And the better teams in this league to this day still play that field position game.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned there, Kenny, I know you've said before, I sat in on when we had Kenny here in 2022. And Kenny, I remember you mentioned in that interview, you said the goal for you guys on defense was 17. If we hold them to 17, we feel like we're going to win the football game.
Absolutely.
And when you look at that, the reverse side for this current Cowboys team, this team is 3-6. If they just hold opponents to 17 points in all these games, their record flips to where now they're 7-2. And it's a big difference and completely shifts the tenor of things. But also, to the point that you're talking about, short fields. Dallas is 5th worst right now in defensive starting position. Teams are starting at the 33 a lot of times. Because kick coverage isn't good or there's a turnover and all those different things. So let's dive into the outlook right now for the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to look back at the Philadelphia game a little bit. Kenny Gant's already rubbing his hands together and sounds like he's got a couple fixes for it. We still need to get into Nate's automotive industry fixes. We're going to get into all this in the second half of the show. But when we come back here on the SWBC Mortgage Cowboys Crosstalk, we're going to talk to Kenny Gant.
Interest rates
Nate
coming
Newton.
down on trucks. Letting you know that now.
Jake Riepma.
That 15% is out the window, baby.
We're going to talk.
Go 84 months, zero finance. I'm letting you know right now.
We're going to talk with
I'm forward tough, baby.
we're going to talk with Nate Newton, Jake Riepma, and Kenny the Shark Gant when we come back about this past weekend and where the Cowboys go from here. That's next on the SWBC Cowboys Crosstalk.
Go Cowboys! Go Cowboys! Go Cowboys! Go Cowboys!
Back to SWBC Mortgage's Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
At SWBC, customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. Thank you for joining us here on the SWBC Cowboys Crosstalk here at the Cowboys Club in the Star in Frisco. I'm Bobby Belt from 105 Through the Fan, joined by my 105 Through the Fan teammate, Jake Riepma. We've got the three-time Super Bowl champ, six-time Pro Bowler, Nate Newton with us, and our special guest this evening is the two-time Super Bowl champion, Kenny the Shark Gant.
Yes.
All right, I know, Nate, I saw you in the press box on Sunday when it was starting to get out of hand, and we were chatting a little bit about some stuff. So I know you weren't necessarily looking forward to recapping everything that we just saw on the football field on Sunday. Not a great game, not a great performance from the Cowboys. In fact, one of the notes, I went back and looked at this, Nate and Kenny. If you go back and look at the Green Bay playoff game, that's the last 5 home games since then. Entering the fourth quarter, their last 5 home games, the Cowboys have trailed 41-16, 41-19, 28-6, and then it was 37-9 and 28-6. So this was actually as close as they've been entering the fourth quarter in the last 5 home games. Home field advantage has completely flipped for them after they had been one of the more dominant home teams in the NFL. But Overall, Kenny, I'll start with you. Just kind of your thoughts on this game against Philadelphia and where things stand with the Cowboys now, especially with the news that Dak Prescott had surgery and he is done for the year.
Well, they started off, me sitting there watching the game, they started off with a lot of energy. And Cooper had a few mishaps, with the snap. And, that's understandable. But then I think where that mental toughness just don't kick in if you don't have people held accountable in the locker room with each player. We had that with Charles and the Ken Norton Juniors. Everybody, we held each other accountable, and so we got stronger as the game went. And it seemed like it just didn't carry over after halftime.
Yeah.
And they got a few plays put on them, and it just folded tent. And I wish I could see more of what I saw in the first half of that game, because they was running around, they was flying around. Number 13, Overshawn was blitzing.
Yeah,
he was all over the place. I just didn't see it in the second half.
Yeah, and that was something that I think was frustrating, Nate, when you watch this, is I felt like the defense came in with a decent plan to attack. It looked like Mike Zimmer coming out of the bye week these first couple weeks, it looks like he's trying some different things schematically with blitzes and some of the disguise coverages and things. And yeah, Kenny, go ahead.
And I seen him smile one time.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that doesn't happen all the time either. But it looked like you were getting effort from your guys.
Yes.
Now they picked on Kalen Carson a little bit in this game. Israel Mukwamu ended up having to come in and played well in the back half, but it definitely felt like Jalen Hurts was getting to the line of scrimmage and said, "Where's 21?" That's where I'm going with this football. Kenny, real quick, before I get some thoughts from Nate on the offensive line and how they played in this game, what is the balance between holding a young player like Kalen Carson accountable when things are not going well versus don't break the spirit of a young player who's still coming along? And because right now that looks like a guy who does not have a lot of confidence.
Well, that comes within the locker room, and the guys got to step up and encourage it. And I think it was some times they could have got him some help too.
Yeah.
Buzz a linebacker out to the flats, and he can cover the flats. He cover deep. But I'm not the coach either, so. But it's just stuff I see that we've done. We used to, in the course of the week, we had Buzz Jerry. We just buzz somebody underneath, and Larry Brown and Kevin Smith stay over the top, and you see. He's stumbling with the ball, so you got to get him some help if he's struggling, because I hate to see a young guy like that and lose all his confidence and be out of the league when he being at home,
right, and
being with a lot of talent.
Yeah,
because his confidence is gone.
Let me say this.
Yeah,
man. I'm gonna be kind about it. You do all your work during the week.
Yes.
Then in the game, you make minor tweaks, and that's what he was saying about the buzzing out.
Yeah.
But when you lack talent, you can't make those tweaks that you should be making. Listen to me. When Philadelphia came out, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the kid out of the backfield,
Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Gainwell,
Kenneth Goddard. Them are 4 top 10 players at each of their positions.
Yes.
How do you make the adjustment? Because you still had to stop the run, so that extra guy was up. So how do you don't make the adjustment? So this is what it is, fellas. That is why I heard Jimmy tell Mr. Jones, he was getting ready to play the 49ers before you got here. Jerry said, "What do you think?" Because I was standing right next to them. Jimmy looked at him right in the face. "Just give me 2 years. I need better players."
Yep.
And I never forgot that. And I asked Coach Johnson down the road, I said, Coach, I heard what you said. He said, and I meant what I said. Get better players. You can't ask a guy to do what he can't do.
Yeah.
Now, Carson's is a good player.
Yes.
He's a solid rookie.
Yeah.
He's shown you he can cover. But what do you do when this kid's confidence is shaking? You can put McQuamu in, but like Kenny say, you got to sacrifice. Like, you know what? Forget this run right about now. I got a guy here struggling. And you got to also tell him, son, move up.
Yes.
You are better than this. Challenge him. The coach's job is to challenge him. The player's job is to help bring him along.
Yes.
Coach, challenge him. That's all I got to say about that.
So, and I hear you, and I frankly agree with you. My follow-up, though, and I think we kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier, where you start to build a culture and you have veteran guys, and I think you would look at this roster and say there are some potential veteran guys that can bring the younger guys along through some of this adversity, through some of the growing pains, if you will. So how do you then manage kind of that, you said 2 years, I need better players, that window of the growing pains, and I don't know if you guys necessarily even went through some of that.
We did. You got to understand, we did. Remember, when Jimmy got here, we had 2 bad years. And see, this is what I try to tell people. And Dallas fans, I love y'all, man, and continue to want to win. You spend your money, continue to demand that we win.
Absolutely.
But you better understand, Detroit Lions didn't all of a sudden get there. They got a coach, and the owner said, you know what, I'm not bothering him. I'm going to let him run his team. You see where they at now. Shanahan came in with the 49ers. I'm not bothering him. You see where he at. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is going to be a growing time. You went 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, and last year was your greatest chance to make that run at the Super Bowl. You didn't make it.
This is a note. We talked about field position earlier, how important that is. On 4 of Philadelphia's scoring drives, where they got 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals, combined, they drove the ball on those 4 drives 58 yards. They moved the ball 58 yards for 20 points. How much is, when the defense is coming out with what feels like a solid game plan initially and is showing competitiveness despite a lot of injuries and things like that, how much is it then on the offense, Nate, and then over to you, Kenny, the idea of, for you guys on the defense side of the ball, how much of it is just, do me a favor here, like help me out on defense, like you guys stop putting us in these positions.
We never came at each other that nice. But once again, and I'm going to let Kenny have it, once again, you got to understand, are you good enough?
Yeah.
If you line, one thing I understood going into this game was Jalen Carter was going to make some plays.
Yep.
I just prayed they weren't plays at key times.
Right.
But he did.
Yeah.
He did make plays in the middle of our offense on the goal line. 2 times he made great plays. One time the other big kid, number 90, made a great play. And those led to 20 points. Sometimes you are who you are, and you have to accept, well, you don't have to accept it as a fan. I'm not going to ever tell a fan what he should accept, but it is what it is.
Yes. And
do you feel that at all on your side? Do you, on the defensive side, when you're given a short field, or you've got 4 different instances where we can stop that? I mean, on 2 of those scoring drives, they went 3 and out.
Yes.
And then they still scored. Do you feel like, man, it almost feels like it doesn't matter what I do on my job if they're going to put us in these positions with these short fields?
You can't think that way.
You can't think that way.
You can't think that way.
That's a quick way to get released.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just got
Not that you should, but does that creep in ever? Do you have to squash
No,
that?
when you get on the bus, are you talking to your boy like Tony Tolbert?
Yeah.
Tony Tolbert, me and him was roommates. Tony Tolbert just turned to me and looked at me like, man, is y'all ever gonna do something? And he ain't saying it as nice as I'm saying. I mean, me and Tolbert used to, Tolbert be like, man, y'all are the sorriest. I mean, he would just let me have it. I used to be looking at him. Okay, all right, one day we gonna turn this around. And I'm gonna tell you something. I snuck out of one of our offensive meetings and snuck into a defensive meeting. And one thing I liked about Coach Johnson, he didn't cut no slack. He told his defense, he said, y'all, I need y'all to play above y'all heads because we look tomorrow for our offense. Ain't gonna be much happening. I was back there. I was back on the back hiding. I almost screamed. And so I ran over there to the offense and to tell them what Coach Johnson said. I said, nah, I better keep my mouth closed because I wasn't supposed to be over there in the defensive meeting in the back. I used to always do crazy stuff like that, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sneak out of my meeting, go to their meeting.
It wasn't a great performance. Let's get into some of what you saw offensively. Nate, we're going to take our final break here on the SWBC Mortgage Cowboys Crosstalk, but I want to get your thoughts what you saw offensively. There seems to be a little bit of a question now about has there been a change at left tackle or has that job opened up? And maybe how do the Cowboys potentially salvage this one moving forward now that they know their quarterback is out? We're going to get into it with Nate Newton, Jake Riepma, and Kenny the Shark Gant. That's next on the SWBC Cowboys Crosstalk.
Go Cowboys! Go Cowboys! Go Cowboys! Go Cowboys!
Back to SWBC Mortgage's Dallas Cowboys Crosstalk.
Yeah, check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
At SWBC, customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. We are back for our final segment here on Cowboys Crosstalk. Thank you for joining us on 105 through the Fan, DallasCowboys.com, and all of their associated social media platforms. We're live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. I'm Bobby Belt from 105 through the Fan, joined by my teammate from the Fan, Jake Riepma. We've also got the three-time Super Bowl champ, six-time Pro Bowler Nate Newton with us, as always. And tonight we are also joined by the two-time Super Bowl champ, Kenny the Shark Gant. All right, so let's take a look. We talked a little bit about the defense, how things responded there. Nate, I want to lead off with you really quickly, just because I know that you had thoughts about what we saw on Sunday offensively, particularly with the offensive line. Tyler Guyton, kind of a surprise inactive for the second time this year, where people felt like he was going to be available, and then it's a late scratch with injury. This time they go with Austin Richards starting at left tackle. Mike McCarthy said today they're opening the 21-day window for Chuma Edoga now, and he had basically intimated, said, hey, with Edoga and Richards and Guyton, we've got some healthy competition there now. And when we talk about confidence, Nate, and how that may affect the player, talk a little bit about your ideas of where things go with left tackle moving forward and some of your thoughts from this past Sunday in terms of what went down offensively.
When I was shocked because I thought they was going to move Tyler Smith out and bring in T.J. Bass and put him at guard. But when they told me that, Austin Richards, who I've been just ever since training camp, begging and talking to Coach Solari, I'm like, Coach, why you won't get his kid a
You've
chance?
been a big fan of his, yeah.
And so I'm like, I stopped. I didn't watch the game. I watched this kid the whole game. And snap after snap, he held up. What I think he's done, Kenny, is earned the right to be the swing tackle at minimum. Mm-hmm. And if the first guy that goes down at left guard or left tackle, he should be the first guy in. He's earned that right by the performance that he had. One game doesn't make the player. So, because this league will catch up with you quick. So I would like to see him if another guy's injured. I don't think we should start playing that. It's no competition. When do you hit? You don't even know how to do pass rush, so stop with the competition. Coach, I'm going to tell you, like they told us, sometimes no comment is the best comment. Just tell them we'll see at the end of the week who we think is going to play. Because that competition, what you're going against air. Yeah. So this kid has at least earned the right. If Guyton is not up to par, or if you think something is wrong and there's a giddy up in his hitch, then put this kid in. Edoga, I'm not rolling with Edoga. It is too late. He should have been starting at the beginning of the season. Too bad he got hurt. It is too late for him.
You know, when you look at I don't know about you, Nate. When I take a look at how things are being called offensively, it strikes me that Mike McCarthy is calling an offense where he's got real concern about his young offensive lineman's ability to protect. If Austin Richards is showing you more stability, and I thought Richards played really well overall in this game, if Richards shows you more stability, I think Cooper Beebe's coming on, a little bit better.
Yeah, he's just having a little – you can hit him with a quick move sometime, and that'll get him every now and then. But overall, he's progressing good. Yes, he is. Do you
feel like the decision may come down to, if you're looking at Richards versus Guyton, it may come down to, for Mike McCarthy, to who gives me the most comfort and be able to run what offense I want to run with Cooper Rush?
Yeah, you just make the call. Just make the call and live with it. But me, you said that Guyton is your starter, and you saw something nice out of Richards. I wouldn't want to have to make that call because you in today's NFL. Now, if it was Jimmy and them, I could tell you right now who will be starting. Because Jimmy will tell you, you can't come in here and do good, and I don't give you a second chance. It'll be Austin Richards sitting at that left tackle of Jimmy. Yeah. But this is a new NFL,
right?
Where a first-round pick counts for everything. So I wouldn't be surprised if Guyton is out there.
When you look at the rest of the way, 3-6, I'd like from both y'all's perspective here. Kenny, we'll start with you. What's one thing that when you look at this team, you say, given the injuries and the personnel and everything else, they have the challenges, what's the one thing you say, man, I'd like to see this as a means to really try and help them down the stretch to salvage the season? And Nate, similar to you, right after that, let me know offensively, what is something you see that said, man, if you can make this change, I think you're helping your offense out a lot given their personnel right now?
I think you just simplified the offense, because when Dak went out with the ankle, I thought that the offense was simplified and Cooper Rush excelled. I don't think you should try to do everything Dak did. Just make it simple. Cater to his strengths. We got the other guy,
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance will be in there. He can run. He's a threat.
Sure.
He's a threat at the run. Just simplify it and just make it simple. Because, think simple is good. You can't do Patrick Mahomes stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just make it simple and just be consistent.
Nate, what do you think?
We have seen the whole season guys invading other guys' space as wide receivers. That has to change. The few times I'm watching offensive line, they got guys blocked up. This kid ready to throw the ball, and it's too many guys in the same area. I promise you, if you got to go get a guy that play a head coach that plays basketball to teach you about spacing, go find that guy. It's all about spacing. Go back and look at the film. You'll see guys invading each other's space too much.
Yeah.
So our receivers have to, and I ain't talking about C.D. Lamb. C.D. Lamb brings people away wherever he's going. He's going to bring two guys.
Right.
I'm talking about the other two. Come on, fellas. I'm even talking about Jake Ferguson. Come on, fellas. Keep your spacing.
Monday Night Football, Houston Texans coming off 2 straight losses. They're going to be upset.
They hot.
Yeah.
They hot, man.
Screaming mad. What has to happen this week for the Dallas Cowboys? I know. I'm going to end it with a question like that.
It should have started today,
There you go.
Wednesday, because it starts today on Wednesday. You put in the game plan.
Yeah.
Make it simple. Let's give. I want to
Play
see
fast, play smart.
fast, and I want to see because you got a young kid at quarterback. He's dangerous, man.
Right.
And especially if he getting some weapons back. He's dangerous.
Nico Collins, right?
Yeah, Nico Collins and I think Will Anderson will be back.
Bro.
They beat up.
They get after the quarterback.
They beat up the Lions.
Oh.
They were in the first half. They were the first teams
I'm
to
gonna
punch
tell you
them in the mouth.
something. They was fortunate. The Detroit before they had to face Will.
Yeah.
They was fortunate.
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you something, man. And people like, if you keep it simple, and you go and you play as fast as you can, and you play mistake-free. That's what we did our early years. Jimmy, don't give these guys too much. Let it stay simple. We have went through 9 games now, and we have guys that having communication problems. It's time to sit somebody down. That's why I'm hoping that this Jonathan guy from
Jonathan Mingo, the new receiver.
I'm hoping that he's so hungry.
Yes.
And so willing, man, to get out there and prove who he is. If the Cowboys say, hey, we love you as a second-round pick. We wanted you. We gave up a possible high 4th. I would be so gung-ho to get out there and prove my worth and my value. They say he built like a Greek god, but let's get somebody to play like a Greek god. You know what I'm saying?
that'd be helpful. Now, we talked about field position. One of the notes I was just looking up here during the break, Texans are the worst in the NFL of when a drive starts on the opposing team's 35 or closer, the Texans give up the highest scoring rate in the NFL.
Let's take advantage.
So let's try to get short fields here. Really quickly as we close things up in the last minute, Kenny, we've talked about Israel McQuam a little bit here. Izzy's had a similar role that you played here in Dallas where he was a special teams guy all over the place, is a safety who's been asked to do some corner at times and kind of be a piece here. So biggest piece of advice here in just the last 30 seconds. What's your biggest piece of advice for Israel McQuam who's stepping up?
Man, just make sure you just embrace who you are. You are that guy. You don't train all year, all high school, college for this moment. So just embracing who you are and just relax.
Perfect way to end it. We're all out of time. You're going to have to go to Nate's Twitter to get his auto industry takes. But for Kenny the Shark,
0% finance.
Kenny the Shark, Gant, Nate Newton, Jake Reed, I'm Bobby Bell. We'll talk to you guys again next week on the Cowboys Crosstalk.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,